Imagine living your whole life under the sea, and suddenly you're forced to go to school on land. Everyone stares, no one gets you, and your life is about to get way more complicated. That's a lull in the sea, and trust me, it hits harder than it looks. In a lull in the sea, there are two societies, people who live on land and people who live underwater in sea villages. The sea people can breathe underwater thanks to something called ina, a layer over their skin that protects them and allows them to live in the ocean. They worship a sea god and live by old traditions that haven't really changed over time. Meanwhile, people on land have modernized. They've moved forward, and in a way, they've kind of moved on from the sea. Because of that, there's a lot of tension between the two worlds, mostly because neither side really understands the other. That's when we meet our four main characters, Hikari, Manaka, Chisaki, and Kaname. Their underwater school shuts down, forcing them to attend school on land, and honestly, none of them are okay with it. Especially Hikari, who feels like the surface world already looks down on them. From day one, you can feel the tension. The surface kids mock the sea kids, making comments about them smelling like fish and treating them like they don't belong. And Hikari does not stay quiet about it. He's loud. He's defensive. He talks back. While the others try to avoid conflict, Hikari pushes back hard, because to him, staying silent feels like letting people disrespect where he comes from. But not everyone on land is like that. At school, they meet Tsumugu, a calm surface kid who's genuinely fascinated by the sea and doesn't judge them for it. He ends up being a really important character, not because he's flashy, but because he actually listens. And in this story, that's rare. Manaka technically meets Tsumugu for the first time when she's accidentally pulled up in his fishing net. Hikari even remembers thinking it was fate. One of those moments where two people are meant to meet for the first time. And yeah, that thought kind of haunts him. Hikari's feelings for Manaka are messy. He cares about her a lot, but he doesn't know how to express that without turning it into anger. And when he sees her getting close to someone from the surface, it's not just jealousy. It's fear. Fear that she'll leave the sea. Fear that she'll choose a world that already feels like it's taking everything from him. So instead of being honest, Hikari lashes out. At Tsumugu, at Manaka, and at the surface world as a whole. Manaka, on the other hand, is kind of the emotional center of the show. She's gentle, sensitive, and not great at dealing with attention, which makes going to school on land especially hard for her. People are fascinated by her ina. They stare, touch it, and talk about it like she's some kind of exhibit. And then we learn something really important. Sea people can't actually stay on land for very long. Their ina starts to crack. They struggle to breathe. The world itself slowly rejects them. But honestly, one of the most painful characters in this entire anime is Hikari, Hikari's older sister. A few episodes in, we find out that Hikari is dating someone from the surface, which is a huge problem in the sea village. The reason is simple, but cruel. If someone from the sea has a child with someone from the land, that child won't be able to live in the ocean. To the village, that means weakening their entire species. So anyone from the sea who dates someone from the surface is banned from the sea village forever. Eventually, Hikari's relationship doesn't stay secret. People start noticing things. Whispers, looks, questions she never answers. And once the truth comes out, it spreads fast. In a place like the sea village, there's really no such thing as privacy. The reaction? Exactly what you'd expect. The village doesn't see Hikari as someone in love. They see her as a problem. Someone threatening the future of the sea. And what really hurts? Hikari doesn't fight back. She doesn't argue. She doesn't try to convince anyone. Because deep down, she already knows how this ends. So Hikari makes her choice. She chooses love. She chooses to leave the sea, the place she grew up, the place tied to her identity, to be with the person who makes her happy. But leaving the sea doesn't magically make everything better. When Hikari moves to the surface, she isn't immediately welcomed there either. Her boyfriend has a daughter, Miyuna, and at first, Miyuna wants nothing to do with her. She's the one writing messages telling Hikari to go away. She watches her from a distance, clearly angry, but not really knowing how to express it. And when you learn why, it hurts. Miyuna's mom passed away. To her, Hikari isn't just dad's girlfriend. She feels like a replacement, a reminder of someone she lost. And Hikari understands that. She never gets angry at Miyuna. She never forces herself into that role. She doesn't demand to be accepted. She just stays kind. She keeps showing up. She keeps being patient. And slowly, very slowly, Miyuna begins to accept her. It's heartbreaking, because it shows that Hikari doesn't just lose her home in the sea. She has to earn her place all over again on land. And yet, she still chooses to stay. And that's when the story brings in the Ofunahiki. Long ago, all humans lived in the sea, but some chose to leave and live on land. This angered the sea god, and the world fell into chaos, droughts, extreme winters, and war. To calm the sea god, the sea people created the Ofunahiki, a festival where offerings were made to restore balance. According to legend, it worked. But now, because of the growing tension between land and sea, the Ofunahiki isn't even happening anymore. So the school decides to recreate it as a class activity. Most of the students didn't want to participate, but Tsumugu volunteers, and that inspires the rest of the sea kids to join. It's small, but it shows how people can connect when someone actually cares to understand. Even if it's just a school project, it starts bridging the gap between land and sea. Meanwhile, Hikari is still dealing with his feelings, protective of Manaka, a little jealous of Tsumugu, and frustrated by how complicated everything has become. Watching him navigate that mix of anger, jealousy, and caring is actually really relatable. Manaka is learning too. She's figuring out how to trust people outside her small circle and also how to deal with the pressure of being different. By the time the Ofunahiki wraps up, the characters have already started growing and understanding each other in small ways. It's not perfect. There's still jealousy, fear, and misunderstandings. But you can see the first real steps toward bridging the gap between land and sea. Then comes the twist. One day, everything seems normal. The group is heading back to the sea after school, when suddenly they're pulled into a meeting with the adults. Seaflake snow has been falling on the surface, something that normally only happens underwater. And it's getting worse. The sea god is losing power. The rivalry with surface people has grown, and humans are forgetting about the sea god. If nothing is done, the surface world will freeze. Everyone above will die. The sea kids have a chance to survive thanks to their ina, which will thicken to allow them to hibernate safely in the ocean. But they're told not to tell anyone on the surface. They wouldn't survive anyway. They're shocked. Hibernating? Never seeing each other again? Not knowing if everyone will survive? But they refuse to accept that fate. Instead, they plan to hold the Opunahiki themselves, hoping their offering will help the sea god regain power and maybe protect the surface people. Long ago, the sea people didn't just do the festival with rituals, they offered a real girl to the sea god. This time, Manaka makes that choice. She offers herself, knowing her ina makes her the key to appeasing the sea god. Hikari can't let her do it alone. He dives after her, Kaname follows. But the sea god's power is overwhelming. Hikari and Kaname get frozen in the ocean, trapped as they try to reach her. Fast forward 5 years. Life has changed dramatically. Chisaki was left on the surface and grew up with Tsumugu. She had to learn how to survive and grow on her own, away from her friends, away from Hikari and Manaka. Meanwhile, Hikari, Kaname, and Manaka were frozen in time. They come back the same age they were 5 years ago, while Chisaki has grown up. Miyuna and Sayu, younger kids from before, have grown up too, reaching the same age as Hikari and Kaname. Hikari ends up back at school with his old teacher, navigating this new, slightly awkward reality. Hikari has had a baby, and contrary to what everyone feared, he can breathe in the sea. Miyuna starts developing her ina too, slowly bridging the gap between sea people and land people. The anime's themes become clear: connection, understanding, and hope. Bridging gaps between people, generations, and worlds. Courage isn't just about fighting. It's about caring, standing up for others, and making difficult choices. And the art? Absolutely gorgeous. The underwater visuals, the colors, the fluid animation. It's breathtaking. Calm, peaceful, yet emotionally intense. A Lull in the Sea isn't just a story about kids from different worlds. It's about growth, empathy, and hope, and it stays with you long after the final scene.